So, as I mentioned, Jen and I are your co-hosts for today. Since Cheryl and Catherine were supposed to be traveling, one of them's traveling. Catherine is joining us in the background and can help us out if she needs to. She can jump in if she needs to. But we're here as your co-hosts today. Quick plug for the SAN advisory group. This is why we get to do this. We're both members of the advisory group, which is a really cool opportunity to get to be part of some of the inner workings of SAN. So when you see those emails come out about running for a member of the advisory group, I recommend doing it. It's a really fun opportunity. So we get to do things like this. So my name is Blake Halliday. I am the Director of Regulatory and Legislative Strategy for Nightingale Education Group and Nightingale College. I'll let Jen introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. So glad you could join us today. My name is Jen Hurwitz. I'm at the University of Louisville, and I'm the Distance Education Compliance Specialist there. So, again, great to see you, everyone.
Very good. Thanks, folks. I understand we have some new people today. We have to get,
Yes,
yeah.
and let's see. We're excited to welcome several new SAN coordinators. And hopefully, I will be able to pronounce everyone's name correctly. Please correct me if I'm saying it wrong. So, first of all, we have from Eastern Washington University, Aaron Avasilla. And then from Metropolitan Community College, we have two joining us, Jennifer Palomera and Naomi Marduk. And then from the University of Alabama, Birmingham, we have Adejuan Gardner. And from the Tennessee Higher Education Commission, we have Ryan Arrington. And then also from University of Alaska in Fairbanks, we have Libby McDonald and Rochelle Rodak. So nice to have you join us. Welcome. Please do give them a really warm welcome to the SAN coordinator community. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Now I'm going to turn it back to Blake to provide some additional announcements and reminders.
Thank you very much. Yes, welcome everybody. All you new folks, feel free to say hi in the chat. Let people say hello back. So welcome everybody. Okay, so announcements. There are some events coming up. And Leah, if I get into this wrong, please correct me. So SAN implementation workshop. This is an in-person workshop. Really cool opportunity. It's March 18th and 19th. It will be in Boulder, Colorado. Registration is currently open. There is a group mentor opportunity that I would highly recommend looking into, especially for some of you who have been in the state authorization world for a while. It's an opportunity for you to give back a little bit more intimately to a group. Really, really neat. So definitely recommend looking into that. Or next month. So the February SAN coordinator meeting is Bring Your Senior Leader Coordinator Meeting Day. If that's like parents and pastries or what grandparents and I don't even know what goes with G, but you may have to provide your own donuts or pastries, but bring your senior leader coordinator meeting next month for February 24th, 2026. The NASASPS conference, which is always done in partnership with SAN. If you haven't been, highly recommend going. Dallas, Texas this year, April 19th through the 22nd. This is the 15th anniversary of SAN. So we've been talking about some activities and things in the advisory group, so should be some fun stuff happening. Definitely go. Good chance to get to meet everybody, work together with other folks doing the same thing. Really fun opportunity. There is a SAN member registration code. I think Jen put that in the chat for you. So use that when you register. Also, reminder, open forums every second Tuesday monthly. The topic for February and March will be a Q&A with our 2025 Sensational Award winners. So come and see their presentations. Really neat things happening in the SAN member world. So very, very excited. Okay, some resources that are available for you to take advantage of. There's a new survey report from SAN called Between the Lines, Behind the Work, Survey Findings on the True Scope of Licensure Compliance. 2026. Link is in the chat. Thank you, Jen, for putting all this in the chat. The WCET Workforce Pell fact sheet. I know that's been on everybody's mind lately. Workforce Pell from January 26. You do have to be a SAN member to get access to that. Make sure you have your login. And then new policy website. This is something that in my role I'm very excited about. I do mostly policy work. Is WCET and SAN's policy tracker. With everything that's going on right now, if you aren't tracking policy, definitely recommend moving into that world. Okay. All right. Very good. Those are announcements. So we're going to do some quick updates on what's happening in our world. And Jen, I'll let you have it.
All right. Let's see. I'm going to switch over here. Just a second. Let me move my screens around a bit. And I will share the screen. Okay. Let me all know if you're seeing the correct screen. Hopefully you're not seeing the notes part. But
you're good.
Okay, great. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I hope the recent winter storm that impacted many of us didn't cause you too much disruption this week. I am Jennifer Hurwitz, Distance Education Compliance Specialist at the University of Louisville here in Louisville, Kentucky. And I want to thank SAN for the opportunity to share how our institution has approached the SARA disclosure requirement, specifically the reporting of adverse actions and investigations, and to reflect on what we're learning as we translate policy into our day-to-day practice. My hope is that this short presentation sparks some additional thinking among our SAN coordinator community and conversation about operationalizing the SARA disclosure requirement in a way that maintains compliance, serves the intended purpose of protecting students participating in distance education, and ensures that SARA participating institutions are treated consistently by state portal entities across the United States. As you know, beginning January 1st, 2025, SARA institutions must disclose to their state portal entities, or their SPE, any adverse actions or investigations within 30 days of first knowledge. This sounds pretty straightforward from a policy standpoint, but in practice, it raises some meaningful operational questions, such as how do institutions know what exactly qualifies or meets this reporting requirement? How do we ensure consistency across states and across our SARA participating institutions? And what happens when we must disclose an investigation, especially when it is something that has not yet resulted in a finding of non-compliance or wrongdoing? I'll talk through how we've approached these questions at the University of Louisville. SARA defines 3 categories that trigger disclosure within 30 days. First is an adverse action against the institution. Second is an investigation related to academic quality, financial stability, or student consumer protection. And finally, an investigation related to compliance with any state or federal requirement. For many institutions, this third category is the most difficult because compliance with any state or federal requirement is incredibly broad and may capture circumstances that are not at all related to distance education activity and do not pose harm or potential harm to these students. Practically speaking, this means institutions must build systems to identify potential disclosures early, often before campus partners fully understand the nature or significance of the adverse action, the investigation, or the specific compliance issue. The definition of adverse action includes warnings or sanctions from an accreditor, the Department of Education, licensing boards, or state regulators. It also includes judgments involving consumer protection violations or those that impact ongoing operations. Additionally, actions, decisions, or findings that affect an institution's financial solvency are included in the definition. One key challenge here is the interpretation. What meets the threshold of impacting financial solvency? When does communication rise to the level of a warning if it is not explicitly stated? When we operationalize policy, we discover quickly that these terms would benefit from shared interpretation among SARA participating institutions and across SPEs. Otherwise, reporting begins to vary widely, and institutions are held to different standards depending on their SPE. At the University of Louisville, our primary objective was to build a process that is, first, consistent so that key institutional stakeholders do not forget about the SARA disclosure requirement. Second, timely enough to meet the 30-day SARA disclosure reporting requirement. And finally, simple and practical enough that campus partners will end up submitting it on a monthly basis. We landed on a strategy that combines regular communication, simple reporting mechanisms, and relationship building. Our most effective tool has been a one-question poll emailed to a select group of campus partners. The actual poll question is pretty concise. It says, are you aware of any adverse action or investigation that should be reported to Kentucky Council on Post-Secondary Education? That's our SPE. If the respondent selects yes, they are directed to a short reporting form that they must complete within 5 business days, or they can schedule a quick Teams meeting with me. If you would like to review the full form for reporting adverse actions or investigations, I'm happy to share a PDF that includes screenshots of each section of the form. I've included my email on the final slide of this presentation, and I encourage you to reach out if you are interested in receiving that. Now, getting back to this process, it does several things. It creates a predictable monthly reminder. It lowers the barrier to reporting. People don't have to remember exactly what the SARA disclosure requirement encompasses because an explanation is provided in the one-question poll that is sent monthly. And it opens the door for dialogue, which is often needed when someone is unsure about whether something actually qualifies as needing to be reported for the SARA disclosure requirement. The poll recipients include my institutional partners in the Office of Academic Planning and Accountability, Financial Aid, Human Resources, the Office of the President, University Council, and the University Integrity and Compliance Office. These partners were identified as staff that would be most likely to encounter relevant information that might be reportable given the SARA disclosure requirement. The system isn't perfect, but it helps us surface potential disclosures before the 30-day required reporting window ends up closing. Another important part of our internal work is reminding our colleagues why this matters. When we highlight the value of SARA, such as enabling our online programs across state lines, supporting out-of-state clinical placements, allowing advertising, or even easing athletic recruitment, we reframe compliance as something that protects our institutional flexibility and student access. This helps reduce the sense of burden and positions disclosure not as a punitive exercise, but as a safeguard that preserves the privileges of SARA participation for the University of Louisville. As we gain more experience with this SARA disclosure requirement, we're learning that the real challenge is not the SARA disclosure process itself. It's the SPE interpretation of what actually counts as a reportable or something that needs to be disclosed. This brings us to the final section, opportunities for improvement across the SARA landscape. There are 3 key areas where additional clarity would strengthen both compliance and consistency for SARA participating institutions. On the left side of this slide, the diagram clearly illustrates the connected nature of SARA policy and guidance, the SPE's interpretation, and institutional reporting. I believe there are several opportunities for growth. First, consistency in SPE interpretation of SARA policy. Right now, interpretations vary across states. An issue that one SPE views as reportable might be dismissed by another. This makes the SARA disclosure requirement burdensome for some institutions with SPEs who interpret the policy quite broadly, whereas other institutions are barely impacted by the SARA disclosure requirement. Secondly, transparency about possible SPE actions. For institutions disclosing an investigation, especially one that has not resulted in a finding of actual wrongdoing, reporting this prematurely can feel quite risky. Without clear guidance about what the SPE is actually going to do with the information, institutions may overreport to be on the safe side, or they could underreport out of concern about unintended consequences. And finally, achieving the right balance is critically important. SARA aims to protect students participating in distance education and to ensure consistent oversight without imposing unnecessary burdens on all of us. Requiring the reporting of investigations before any determinations is made challenges this balance. Investigations are common in higher education. Many are resolved without a finding of noncompliance. Reporting them prematurely could lead to the following: misinterpretation of institutional risk, reputational consequences without due process, overwhelming SPEs with low value information, and inconsistent reporting across institutions. This is an area where thoughtful refinement of guidance would significantly improve the relationship between NC SARA, SPEs, and SARA participating institutions. Thank you again for the chance to share University of Louisville's experience as we work to implement the SARA disclosure requirement across all of our institutions. I hope SARA participating institutions continue to collaborate on ensuring this policy is serving its intended purpose, that of protecting students who are participating in distance education, while also ensuring that institutions are treated consistently across the United States. I'm always happy to discuss our process or learn from what others are doing in this space. And please do reach out if you'd like to review the full form for reporting adverse actions or investigations. I'm happy to share the PDF that I mentioned earlier so you can see U of L's full process. Please feel free to reach out anytime, and I'm happy to take any questions. Let's see.
Looks like a question just popped up in the chat, Jen, from Ricky.
Okay, let's see. Do you get questions about? Yes. Yes. So I will use the circumstance that actually really brought all this to light for me. So it's publicly, in the news and everything. The University of Louisville was one of many institutions cited for having scholarships that I guess do not comply with Title VI. And so anyway, that is what brought all of this to light. And we received our notification, I believe, in July. And at the time, it really felt like it was political. And so I didn't see this as something that we needed to be reporting because it was in national headlines to our SPE. But when it came time for the SARA renewal, our SPE specifically cited the SARA disclosure requirement and that it required a disclosure if it's related to any federal or state requirement. And so at that time, I asked for clarification on whether this OCR investigation would be something that would need to be reported, and they said yes. And so that opened up a lot of questions about, a whole host of things, because before we had been viewing this as if it relates to SARA specifically. And so that's what I guess brought all of this to light. So I see there's some other questions, but Ricky, if I didn't answer your question, please let me know. And let's see, Erica says, how do you bring in? Erica, what's the ALO? I'm sorry.
Your accreditation liaison officer.
Oh,
the person who liaises with SAC COC.
Yeah, so we have a group which is the HEA regulations group that meets monthly, and so In that list of our institutional partners that I had on the one slide, he is one of them who fills out the monthly report. And we are frequently in contact anyway. But I think the more that, Sarah, I believe, has the new policy that's also going to require us to notify our SPE about like teach out agreements. So I do feel like this is something that we're going to have to increasingly coordinate with the SACS COC liaison, and making sure that we're, reporting to the right people. But at the same time, I do feel like our SPEs also need to be helping us understand, okay, is there a way that, when this is reported through our SACS COC liaison to the Council for Post-Secondary Education, do we need to be double reporting essentially to this same, group? So I think there's just a lot of challenges in terms of, again, implementing this policy in a practical way that doesn't lead to a lot of overlap is, I guess, the concern that I have with all of this. Anyone else?
And it looks like Annette asked if you would mind sharing your slides. Are you willing to do that?
Oh, yes. Please just email me, because I know that Cheryl said that due to web accessibility and everything, that they don't share the slides on the SAN website anymore. But I'm more than happy to share the slides as well as the PDF that I put together with the screenshots of the full form. Again, the first part of the process is just the monthly one question poll. But then if there is something that is reportable, they either have the option to report it on the form or to have a phone call or a Teams meeting with me. So I'm happy to share both. And I'll put my email here in the chat so that everybody has it, if you want to email me. All right, I think it's all yours now, Blake.
Thank you very, very much. Thanks, Jen. That was very helpful. Okay, I'm going to just give you a quick update on some things that we're doing at Nightingale. And then after that, we're going to turn the time over to our guest speaker today. We have a special guest from WCET that I think we're all excited to hear from, Megan Raymond, who's the Senior Director of Membership and Programs for WCET. I'm looking forward to hear her presentation. So before we turn it over to Megan, I wanted to talk about a topic that's near and dear to my heart. Let me share this really quickly. Okay, Jen, can you see my slide? Beautiful, thank you. So in my role at Nightingale, Nightingale Education Group and Nightingale College, I get the opportunity to work on both the kind of state authorization compliance side of things, but also on the advocacy and government relations side of things. And it's an interesting mix, and one that I honestly feel like is really well combined. It's something that I don't think we work a lot with in most institutions of higher education. I think there's a divide between state authorization, compliance issues, and government relations and advocacy. And I have definitely learned in my role that there should not be that divide. And because really, truly, this policy that I've written here on the slide, policy change is happening with or without you. And everybody in this group, I think, is aware of all of the policy changes that have been happening lately. Things are ramping up on the federal level, on the state level, lots of discussions happening, federal legislature, state legislatures, national groups, NC-SARA, for example, lots of change that's happening. So I just want to go over a couple of things that I think are really important for this group and advocate for you to be involved. So as I said in my function, I work a lot on the government relations side of things. So I am a nurse by trade. That is my background. I am a nurse. I've been a nurse for 13, 14 years, and I never expected to be in this role as a nurse. And I am so grateful, though, that I found myself here, because policy is happening with or without us. And this idea that I think most of us have that policy change is done by quote unquote experts is not as true as we want to think it is. And what I mean by that is, in my experience, I have been able to participate in multiple bills being passed, which taught me a lot. And one of the things that it taught me most is that most legislators are regular people, right? They are not legal experts usually, they are not subject matter experts. So the laws and the regulations that they are advocating for, that they are pushing at your state level, even at the federal level, are not necessarily always driven by the evidence that we would hope that they're driven by. I don't say that to disparage anyone. I think most legislators do the best that they can. They just may not know all of the details that they need to know. That's where this group of people really come into play. You are the subject matter experts. And if there is a policy in your local area that's making life difficult for you, those who set the policy may not know that it's making things difficult. They may not be educated. Believe it or not, much policy is set based on opinion only. There's not a lot of evidence that always gets discussed in these committee hearings. I have sat in countless committee hearings where it's good discussions, but there's just a lot of opinion that happens. And whichever opinion tends to be the loudest or the most compelling is the one that gets the most votes. So as a nurse, we base everything on evidence, evidence-based practice. That's our calling card in the nursing world. We don't do any treatments, medications, interventions, anything unless there's research and evidence that shows that it works, that it's safe. We want our policy to be based on the same level of evidence. So again, I don't say this to disparage anybody. I think they're doing the best they can. They just may not know. So remember that your local legislators are regular people. In your institution, whether you're in a large institution with lots of employees, or if you're in a smaller institution, if you don't know who your government relations folks are, I encourage you to get to know them. Go find out who they are, build a relationship with them. If you're in your role, if your institution doesn't necessarily allow for you to do the communicating with local legislators, I understand that. Follow the internal policies. So get to know the folks who do have that responsibility. Let them know what's on your mind. What are you up against? What are you seeing? What are your findings based on the evidence that you are seeing, so that they can best advocate for you at the government level. Out of sight is truly out of mind. If they don't know it's happening, they don't know to make changes. There are lots of regulations in the nursing world that we're constantly advocating to change here at Nightingale and at many other institutions. And most legislators, when we sit down with them and talk to them about some of these regulations that are very out of date, they're just shocked. They're shocked to even hear of the evidence because they just didn't know. There aren't a lot of nurse legislators that I interact with. So again, most of them are, quote, regular people. They're not state authorization experts. They're not distance education experts. They're not even higher education experts. Many of them may not have gone the higher education route, may have had a career in something that doesn't require a degree. And so they may not know what you need them to know. So please reach out. Don't let out of sight be out of mind be the way that things are happening in your organization. You can truly influence policy. And I mean that by saying that since you are the experts, you have the data. Data really helps get the proper policies in place that are based on evidence. If you can bring that data as the subject matter expert, again, maybe it's not you, maybe you're not the person who will directly work with local legislators or federal legislators, but find the people in your organization who do and bring them the evidence. Give them a clear reason why there either needs to be a policy change or a policy not changed, right? Maybe there's a challenge to a current policy that you feel is the right policy and it shouldn't be changed. Find the reasons, find the evidence, and provide that to the proper people in your organization who can advocate for that. It really is interesting, folks. I in my role. I've been doing this now for many years. I hate to use the sales spin on it. Before becoming a nurse, I worked in sales and finance and in education. And I found that it's very similar. If you have a compelling offer that really actually has evidence behind it that shows that it will help people, then people tend to be interested in that offer. But if they don't know about it, they can't do anything about it. So if you have a compelling argument, if there's something that is bothering you, write it down, write it up in a quick couple of sentences. I'm a big fan of AI, I'll be honest with you. Ask Copilot or whatever you use to help formulate your thoughts and send the message to those people who need to know. And then this last bullet point, and then we'll transition things over to Megan because I know that's who we're really excited to hear from. Students want to be involved now more than ever. I think the political landscape is very public right now. I mean, we can't turn on the TV and watch any sort of news or social media without hearing about what's going on in politics. Students want to be involved. I get a chance to work with students all across the country in various conferences and seminars, webinars, etc., from institutions everywhere. And they are very interested in having an opportunity to be heard. So I encourage you to work with your institution to implement ways to let students be involved. We call them grassroots campaigns, even if that's just sending a letter to your local legislators, to the governor in your state. Work with your government relations folks to set up opportunities for that. It may feel like those letters just go unanswered. I can tell you that they are heard. I have had multiple conversations with folks, even on Capitol Hill in DC, who get lots of letters. I'll just put it that way. Lots of letters about lots of issues. They are heard. They may not read each individual letter, but the volume of letters about a certain topic brings that topic to mind among the staffers, and the staffers bring that then to the legislators. I've seen it countless times. So they do work. Advocate within your institutions to give your students a chance to be heard on the political scene right now. It's a powerful movement. It's a powerful opportunity to help our learners and our students be involved in civic engagement, which is a really super important thing right now in our country. So, okay, thank you very much. I will stop sharing right now, and I'll just open it just for questions for just a few minutes before we turn things over to Megan. If anybody has any questions about advocacy or government relations at your institution level. Okay, if not, I will put my email in the chat as well. Please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to you about what we do at Nightingale, some of the processes we have in place, and how to build systems to let your learners be involved, and how for you to have your own voice heard louder. Remember, out of sight truly is out of mind. So if there's something that you feel like needs to be changed, don't go silent. They don't know it needs to be changed unless you bring it up. Okay, very good. Thank you very much, everybody. All right, very excited for Megan. Megan Raymond, Senior Director of Membership and Programs at WCET, is going to take it from here, and we're excited to hear from her, and we'll open it up for questions after she's done presenting. Megan, are you ready?
Yes, thank you, Blake. Hi, everybody. It's great to see many, many names in here that I know. And I'd say there's just as many, if not more, names that I do not know. So for those of you that I've not had a chance to connect with, I'm Megan Raymond with WCET. I've been at WCET almost 19 years, which is hard to believe. And I was part of the early days of state authorization, where in my youth, I went to my boss at the time, Russ Pullen, and said, why can't I just put all of these state by state regulations into a spreadsheet? And he's like, yeah, good luck with that. So bounce forward, and then we have the state authorization network, because many people could do more than I could do in one very unwieldy spreadsheet. So my role at WCET is membership, partnerships, sponsorship, and really all of our outfacing community research and community assets and resources. So what we like to do is work with the state authorization network expertise and bring together the practice and the policy piece. So we work very well together in that we lean on the policy expertise of SAN to help really articulate and inform what that means for the rest of us. So you all have deep expertise in policy and state authorization, whereas many people at your institution, as you are well aware, do not have that expertise. So that's why WCET and SAN are a really nice unit and overall membership for your organization, because you may be in this lane and other people at your institution are in this lane, but together you can progressively serve your students very effectively by blending that practice and the policy piece. So WCET, our parent organization is WICHE, the Western Interstate Commission on Higher Education. And I say this because they also have deep policy expertise and they're rooted in the West. So the W in WCET is WICHE, Cooperative for Educational Technology. We are an acronym within an acronym, which is not a place anybody really hopes to be when they grow up, but that's where we are. So SAN is a network of WCET. So Van Davis, our executive director, likes to explain us as, those Russian nesting dolls. So SAN is part of WCET, and we have another network within WCET, which is Every Learner Everywhere. And if you're not familiar with their work, I'll put a link into the chat, but that's a Gates-funded initiative that is really focused on effective outreach to all populations of learners in digital format. Thanks, Blake. I'd like to just take a minute and see which of you are members, just with a quick, some sort of reaction in the Zoom here. A handful. How about those of you that do not know if you're a member of WCET? Okay. That's good to know, because a lot of times we have people that don't know if they're members or not. So I'm going to just do, as Cheryl said, she doesn't love us sharing our slide decks because of accessibility, and WCET takes that to heart. So I'm going to just walk you through some of our web pages that I think you'll find useful. And I have a one-pager that is accessible that I'm happy to share as well. But please, as I go through, if you need any additional information or if you have questions, just let me know. But I think that this is an important opportunity, and I'm very thankful for the time to help explain what WCET is. And you can keep that in the back of your mind, thinking who else at my institution might want to know more about WCET and could really benefit from the work that they do. Now, let me see if I can share screen here. Okay, now let me find the right screen. All right, looks like I'm where I need to be here. So if you're not sure if you're a member, or you're curious about the benefits of being a member and really maximizing those benefits, come on over here to join us, and you'll see there's a drop down for the benefits of WCET and SAN. And this page gives you a good overview of what the benefits of WCET are and who that audience is, as well as the benefits of SAN and the best of both worlds here. And I'm going to go through all these links, and then I'll be sure to drop them into the chat so you can have them. If you are a member of WCET and you're still not really sure what that means to you and your colleagues, again, everybody within the institution has access to these benefits. You can just go over here to use your member benefits, and that'll walk you through all of our benefits, including our online community, our job posts. You can post unlimited jobs through our job posting page and our listings in WCET News. You also receive access to the OnEdTech subscription service, and this is deep analysis from Phil Hill about trends that are happening in the EdTech space. We also have a video that I'll share too. I'll share the link. I won't make you watch the video, but that's a good place to get started. If you're not a member and you're interested in becoming a member, the details about joining are on our Join Us page. And if you do join WCET, you receive a discounted rate for your State Authorization Network membership. And here after Join Us, you can access the membership dues to give you a sense of what those are. We like to say that, we try and make it so that all organizations can join us, and we provide exceptional value, if I do say so myself. So here's our PDF that I mentioned that I would share. And I know you're thinking, well, this looks a little different than the WCET I know and love. We are in the process of rolling out our new brand colors and font. So you'll see there's a hint of this across things I'm going to share with you today. And you'll probably be seeing those in your inbox as you get our emails and notifications. We're hoping that we can launch our new website soon, but this is just a little taster of what you're going to see. And this is a great page to share if you know somebody at WCET that really should, or somebody within your organization that really should be maximizing the membership. Any questions so far? No, I'm going through a lot. Okay. A few things I wanted to highlight are that we have a summit coming up. It's a virtual summit, and this is in partnership with the organization Quality Matters. And we are doing a virtual program that really dives deep into the policy and the practice of high quality digital learning. And this is a member-only event. So if you're a WCET member, you're welcome to register. If you're not, this is a great time to consider becoming a member, because we have a special membership offer for joining both Quality Matters and WCET for the rate of $3,000. Okay, and for those of you that weren't sure if you're a member or not, if you go to our Join Us, Meet Our Member page, all of our members are listed here. You can filter by the type as well as the location. So if you don't see your institution on there, we hope that you'd consider joining us. Another highlight I wanted to share is AI is everywhere. And we just put out this AI Literacies and Practice Playbook. And this is in partnership with D2L. And this is a very robust resource, and there's numerous entry points. So if you download this PDF and you're like, I don't even know how to get my arms around this, the intention is that there's a few different frameworks, and you can choose what works best for you and where your institution is at to really help inform how institutions can best incorporate AI literacy frameworks so that AI literacies are incorporated across the institution, because we want our learners to really know how to use AI, how to keep the human and the thought as part of the new generation of learning and workforce. And the cool thing about this is we put this out, but we know that this is a living, breathing document. So we also have a Google Doc where we invite you to share your stories. So what's working at your institution? What are your case studies? What other frameworks are out there that you think we should consider? So this is something that we're very, very excited about. We just put this out on Monday. We also put out our member-only fact sheet that Blake mentioned on Workforce Pell, and we'll be putting one out on quality. So we have been very busy behind the scenes trying to create all of this content for you, and we have a lot more coming. I want to give just a little teaser about a member-only resource that we have coming out hopefully next month. It also is very robust. And this is a tool where you can assess where your institution is at with this online readiness. So are you just beginning your online learning delivery and you're analyzing what that looks like at your institution, what the ROI is, or are you further along in the process and you can continue to evolve that business model? So that'll be coming out in March. So those are just some of the highlights I wanted to share. All of our resources that are member only are in Mix, and I know you know how to access Mix. And then we have numerous resources embedded in all of these links. So the WCET and SAN policy tracker that was mentioned earlier, professional licensure notifications, and then we like to stay on top as we can of all of the emerging issues. So we have a few assets here around AHEAD and Workforce Pell. And then you can scroll through here and just see. So I would say the most up-to-date content areas for us are artificial intelligence and accessibility. We have been doing a lot on accessibility. We are working with One Ed Tech. They're another membership association that they're a little more focused on the tech pieces, but we're working with them on an accessibility workshop series. And that's where institutions can come up with a case study that they want to work on at their institution to make sure that they're working towards compliance for those DOJ regulations. And that accessibility workshop series kicked off last week, but we're going to be announcing another cohort in the next couple months. So if this is something you're interested in, it's pretty cool because you get a coach assigned to you. So you could go to them and say, hey, this is an area where I'm not really sure how we can get our institution to get momentum around X topic. How can you help us figure out how to strategically plan this? What are some of the things that we need to consider? Those coaches have been phenomenal. So we're very excited about that partnership as well. So I could keep going because I'm very excited about the work we're doing here. But if there are questions or if there are other members within the call that want to say anything, please jump on. Love the new colors. Thanks. We're excited about them. It took us all a little bit to get around the chartreuse, but we understand that makes us hip too.
When was the last time you heard chartreuse and hip in the same sentence?
Yeah, right?
Hey, I have a question for you, if I may.
Please.
So advocacy policy, as I just talked about, is near and dear to my heart. So for our WCET SAN members, if they have something that they want to participate in, if they say, hey, this is something that I feel like I need to talk to somebody about, there's a policy that's concerning me or whatnot, how would they connect with WCET? Because this is a great opportunity, folks. One thing I didn't really mention was industry groups that really built these networks to advocate for you on your behalf. We have a great example of one right here. So how would we interact with WCET if we say, hey, this is something that's really important? Can you guys help with this?
Yeah, so your team of SAN people are wonderful. You know this, and they're great at connecting with us when there's a place for synergy or helping deliver a broader message to both communities. And I'm always available. I try and be as responsive as possible. And through the WCET community in Mix, we have WCET Discuss. And this is a great place to post a question and get responses. And we have members in every state, so we have over 450 member institutions. So asking a question to the Discuss group can yield a variety of responses from very disparate groups of institutions with, different budgets, different populations they serve. We had a question last week about should be using the LMS be required at an institution, and the responses were very enlightening and very varied. So it's a great place to ask questions and see what other institutions are doing. It's also a great place, sort of like AI, you can start with the community instead of starting fresh on a job description or a policy. Other people have probably done something close enough to get you started.
Very good. Thank you, Megan. I appreciate that a lot. I think AI for the group is being talked about at every level of government right now. I was part of a roundtable discussion last month with some very, very large industry organizations in DC. So thank you, WCET, for being involved in that conversation. Folks at your institutions, if you have thoughts on AI and how that works in higher education, please get involved because those discussions are happening again with or without you. So it's good to know that we have some good representation. Thank you, Megan. So
Yeah, we also have a webcast coming up that's free. Most of our webcasts are free and open to everybody. Membership is not required. And we have a webcast about AI policies, and we're going to really dive into what does assessment look like when we know that even online learning, there's ways to get around browsers and browser lockdown. So some interesting conversation there.
Indeed.
And I don't think Scantron's the answer. Just saying.
I don't know if I even know what that is. So now I have homework to do. So.
You don't know what a Scantron is?
Oh, Scantron. I'm sorry.
I was going to say,
yes.
For most of us, it causes sweat.
Yes. Okay. Yes, agreed. Thank you, Megan, very, very much. Thanks for being with us today. Yeah, I totally misheard that. Anybody got any last minute questions for Megan? Thank you so much for being with us.
Appreciate the time. Thank you, everybody. And don't hesitate to reach out to one of the SAN people for more information or connect with me or just connect with me directly. Stay warm and safe.
Yes, thank you. Okay, thanks again, Megan. Huge round of applause from everybody. Thank you very much for being with us today and sharing your expertise with us. We're very grateful for WCET and for SAN, for everything that these organizations do to bring us all together. Pretty awesome. So, okay. Hey, on behalf of all of us, thanks for joining our meeting today. If you have any questions for anybody that was with us today, please reach out. Any of the presentations, we're all happy to share. We're looking forward to seeing you at the next couple of meetings. So thanks again for being with us.